And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head to death.
Worry about my posse getting jumped. Cause if we ever do, yo, TB, pop the trunk. Cause we make a pop the trunk and hit the switch.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
He is Jalen Rose.
And that is the coldest introduction in the industry. Shout to the Beat Nuts. Shout to MC Breed, rest in peace. Shout to Pimp C, rest in peace. Shout to Reggie Noble, Redman being featured.
Shout out.
What up, Doe?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in, center stage on the mic.
And we putting it on wax. It's the new style.
With Jalen and Jacoby. What do?
We get the people what they want.
Well, for a matchup of 3 and 4 teams, there certainly was a lot of hype around last night's Monday Night Football game. Michael Irvin was on first take sweating and screaming when the game started. It didn't go well for the Cowboys. Look at that sneaky play that the Titans put together. Titans got some touchdowns. While Amari Cooper did get one touchdown himself, the Cowboys could not protect Dak all night long. He was getting sacked. He was getting sacked. It didn't look good for Dak and the Cowboys. Jalen Rose, this is supposedly, quote-unquote, America's team. What do you take away from this game from the Cowboys?
First and foremost, I'm going to make sure, as somebody that works in the national media, I don't take the what's wrong with the Cowboys spin without acknowledging the fact that they got beat on their home field by the Tennessee Titans, who did a terrific job of converting on third down. I think they were 11 for 13. Mariota had 3 total touchdowns. Now, for the Dallas Cowboys, a couple of things. One, it was a great pickup for Amari Cooper. And I know people are going to question whether they should have gave up a first-round pick or not. The bottom line is he's going to be a productive player. The true issue with their team is their offensive line isn't what it used to be. And Dak Prescott still has to prove that he's a franchise quarterback. He's had 2+ turnovers in the last 10 games. That's the longest stretch in the entire NFL. So it's going to be interesting to see how this year progresses and if they're going to look toward him to give him franchise-changing quarterback money to play on the center for a team that gave Ezekiel Elliott 0 touches in the fourth quarter. 0 touches in the fourth quarter.
6 touches in the second half. It was just confusing the way they played. And Dak, you mentioned Dak's turnovers, one of which was a great play, strip sack, that was fine. The other one was the throw to the end zone. Amari Cooper is double teamed, and just the way that he threw it, he had his right foot in front of his left. It was like he was shooting a floater. He just tossed it up there, and Bayard came down with the reception, the interception. And what he did next was interesting. Let's take a look. He took the ball. This is look at his feet when he throws this, like a little fadeaway, like Michael Jordan 3. And then he runs to the Dallas Cowboys star, a la Terrell Owens, and does that. Jalen Rose, I enjoyed this moment because I'm here for the drama and the disrespect and the Irish jig on the star. What did you think about that move from Bayard?
I'm not mad at it at all. The one thing I learned a long time ago as somebody that was a trash talker is you can say or do what you want, but however, you got to be ready to deal with the consequences that come with it. So now if I'm the Dallas Cowboys and I think players are going to start making this a practice, trying to disrespect, because you did use that word because that's what it is, and go to the flag, go to the midfield every time they score, something happens great. They now should come up with a strategy to make sure that they find a way to discipline that person when it takes place. They looked a little confused and a little surprised by it taking place. I understand they were a little dreary because it was a standing 8 count, understanding that your quarterback just threw it to a guy who was bracketed. He was basically the only guy in that area and had no chance to complete that pass. So I'm pretty sure the rest of the guys were a little dumbfounded as it was taking place. But next time they should be ready, and they shouldn't let that slander continue to take place on their field.
I think as the defensive players run on the field after a turnover, they're going to start doing a little detour right next to the star just to make sure nothing happens. Well, as he always does, Jerry Jones had something to say after the game. Let's listen to Jerry.
Really disappointing. We certainly didn't see this coming.
if you will, it's a step back for us. Well, I think after 8 games, when you've won 3, that's cause for concern. We've got to play better. The record could be better than it is right now, and we still be in trouble. I certainly think that each individual player and coach and front office person is going to have to do better.
Have you heard anything about how...
me.
Do you think Jerry Jones is going to fire Jason Garrett or make any big personnel moves or do anything to change the course of this team this year?
Not during this year, because it doesn't necessarily help the continuity of your team to fire the coach at this point in the year, especially when they have the level of relationship that they have. And I do believe, however, at the end of this year, they should strongly consider moving in a different direction. But then I thought back to something. Early 2000s, one of my mentors in this business, James Brown, going to spend time with him, Terry, and Howie. And also Jimmy Johnson. And it reminded me of something. He's still not in the Dallas Cowboys Ring of Honor. Now, I know you heard me say this for the last 10 seasons.
Oh, I don't know, just about 1 million times.
And so the reason why I'm pointing this out, and feel free, media members and fans, to take this point and use it as your own and not credit me at all. The reason why Jimmy Johnson is not in the Dallas Cowboy Ring of Honor, though he won 2 championships, is because Jerry Jones is jealous of him. He's jealous of the fact that people gave him some of the credit, most of the credit, if not all of the credit in certain cases. So therefore, he ostracized him. So I don't see that guy going out paying mega bucks to an alpha head coach that's not going to allow him to dictate what happens in practice and on the field. He's got to have somebody in this term, puppet, coaching the team. So that's the dynamic that I want to see how it plays out.
Well, we have a Le'Veon Bell update, kind of. He sent out this tweet where he said, "Farewell, Miami," with a waving hand. Jalen Rose, he has not contacted the Steelers. Are we to assume that this means that he's headed to Pittsburgh?
How about this? He has 8 days in theory to show up to the team. Guess what he's going to do between now and then? Show up to the team. He's going to make sure that he doesn't do anything to forfeit his free agency at the end of this year. So basically what that was saying is, bye to Miami. It's been real. Put my album together. Spit some bars. Got a chance to kick it at Live. Had a chance to be on the jet skis. Now he got to go where it's cold. The weather's changed.
So one thing though about this,
in Pittsburgh.
Listen, I'm not a good speller, but if you know you're going to make national news with a tweet, just read it over, because you did not spell farewell right. You know what I mean? You got to spell farewell right. Come on, Le'Veon. Moving on, Jalen Rose, we have some Uber news. One thing that both Jalen and I do not like is a chatty Uber driver. Well, guess what's worse than a chatty Uber driver? A snitch Uber driver who's recording you while you're complaining about your job. The Ottawa Senators were piled into an Uber. It looks like an SUV. There's like 7 of them in there. They got 3 in the second row. And they were doing what everybody does, complaining about their job. But they didn't know they were going to be recorded and it was going to be put out on the internet. Let's listen to what this snitch Uber driver released to the world.
Do you notice that when he runs the video, like if you actually do pay attention, he doesn't ever teach you anything. He just commentates what's happening. He's like, here's so-and-so skating on the wall with the box.
He doesn't say what to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, here's the other thing, too. We don't change anything ever, so why do we even have a meeting? Like, I haven't paid attention in 3 weeks. And, like, I got my first shift, like, last game. And
you must have been listening in the meeting.
And I knew what to do because he hasn't changed a thing.
I also hate how he quizzes us. He's like,
what do you do here, Max?
Max like, I don't know. For me?
There's so much wrong with this. So much wrong with this. But first I want to start with the Uber driver. Listen, I don't read the terms and conditions on any agreement on the internet I've ever agreed to. I just click the box. Everybody just clicks the box. So maybe he's within his rights to release this to the world. But as a human being, there's got to be some decency to this. How wrong is it of this Uber driver to just release this footage?
So when in Rome, you got to do as the Romans do. And there's one immediate distinction that jumps out to me as a mistake that was made by the players. Here's what it was. You pissed off the Uber driver by piling 7 people in his car. That's
probably
what happened.
They probably didn't tip. Y'all didn't tip, did you? That's what it is. If they didn't tip, they were probably eating. They probably spilled some beer on one of the seats or something, left a little trash back there. That's a good point, Jalen Rose. This is one of the reasons that you always tip as well. And I've been in Uber with you when we've been discussing something, and you've gone like this and pointed to the camera in the Uber. Like you're always 2 steps ahead when it comes to these things. I'm like, you really think this dude would release what we're talking about to the world?
Absolutely. And again, one, you acknowledge they probably didn't tip well. But two, he was upset from the jump because you got 7 athletes piling into my vehicle. This is my moneymaker. This is how I eat.
Ubers. Just get 2 Ubers. That's the same thing. I don't want to sit next. If I made as much money as a professional athlete makes, I would not be sitting middle seat in the back of an Uber. Simple as that. We would get 2 Ubers. I'll meet y'all where we're going. We'll be at the hotel. Don't worry about us. Moving on, Jalen Rose. It is now time for some very important news that matters. Jalen Rose, there is a mystery in Norwich, England. On October 4th, this picture was taken of a BMW several feet in the air in a tree. How in the world does a BMW get into a tree? Was it a flying BMW? Did a superhuman person pick it up and throw it into the tree? How did the BMW get there? Was a crane involved?
That's a tricky question.
I know. That's why I asked it to you.
So, maybe this is what happened.
Okay.
The BMW is a test car for what they're trying to do in 2020, a version of the Jetsons. For those old enough with Elroy and the family, they always have flying vehicles on the show.
Car. That's a good theory.
Growing up, I always thought that in the year 2000, this was going to happen. It didn't happen. So that was just a test vehicle gone wrong. We're
way behind. Second, we have another layer to this mystery. Here's an updated picture of that same spot. The car is gone. What you see there is some police tape next to the car. However, the police say they have no record of a car being stuck in a tree, nor did they remove a car from a tree. Now it feels like the police are covering up the fact that there was a car in the tree. Is it wrong of me to make that deduction?
Well, that pretty much adds up. It was a car in a tree. The police came. They made their presence be known, but yet they didn't do a report. Now, I love and admire the work of law enforcement across the very world because they have more courage than I ever would. That's to protect and to serve others. But however, there have been some not ethical cops that have also roamed the face of this earth. This sounds like a report that should have been filed that wasn't filed. We need to get to the bottom of this. I need to talk to a sergeant. I need to talk to a lieutenant. I need to figure out what happened to that BMW.
You guys got flying cars, you got cars and trees, and you cars and trees cover-ups. We're going to launch a Jalen and Jacoby investigation, and by that I mean Google it once and then forget about it. Let's give people what they want.
Technology Truths, brought to you by Geico.
Technology Truths.
Truth. Teenagers can communicate entirely in emojis.
How was the birthday party? Pizza slice, kitten, soccer ball, pineapple?
Truth. It's so easy to switch and save on car insurance at geico.com.
What are you talking about? Paperclip, shoulder shrug, high five, wizard hat? What?
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
The Denver Nuggets are 9-1. The Denver Nuggets played the Celtics, a championship contending team, last night, and they beat them. They've also beaten the Warriors. Not only that, Jamal Murray put up 48 points against this Celtics team and Kyrie Irving. Look at all these different ways that he's getting buckets. What did Jamal Murray show you last night?
That he, along with Gary Harris and that terrific young backcourt, continue to ascend. And for those who haven't been paying close attention to this program and didn't hear you and I echo the fact that the Denver Nuggets are going to be really good this year, now people are starting to pay attention, and rightfully so. This is a quality win on your home floor. They're playing without Will Barton. We know the Joker's going to play at an all-star level at the center spot. Paul Millsap is giving them good minutes. Trey Lyles gave them quality minutes as well. I really think this team, once they get fully healthy, depending on what happens with Isaiah Thomas as the year progresses, is going to shock a lot of people in the Western Conference because this is legitimate. I'm not saying it's going to be 90% win percentage type of good, but I'm telling you, they're trending towards being one of the top 4 teams in the Western Conference if they can keep it up.
I mean, I like this team, and one of the only things I look at them and say, they're not that deep, but if they do get Thomas back, I don't think Porter Jr. will play, but they've got, Barton is not playing now. Like, they've got some players that should come back and contribute for them as they get deep in the season. I really like this Nuggets team. If you have League Pass and you're on the East Coast, it's worth staying up and watching some Nuggets basketball. There is something that happened at the end of the game that I need to talk to you about, though, Mr. Rose. Let's just take a look at the waning seconds of this Nuggets win. You see, we got Murray with the ball. He's got 48. He's just casually dribbling around and pulls up. Just pulls up. What's wrong with that, Jalen? My man can't shoot.
It's an unwritten rule in the NBA, and Kyrie's going to get a $10,000 fine for throwing that ball in the stands, that when the game is decided, it's the final possession, it's okay to just hold on to the ball and not add fuel to the fire, not try to pile on, not try to demean or disrespect the opponent as it's called. The fight has been called. Stop the battle. Okay.
I understand. I understand why Kyrie was mad, but one thing I love about Kyrie is the way that he handled it afterwards when he spoke to reporters. Let's listen.
Congratulations to him having 48 points. He did it in a great fashion against us. Our defense has to be better, but the ball deserves to go in the crowd after a move like that. So do it in the crowd.
What? He's like, no big deal. He's like, I was mad at the time. I was upset, so I threw the ball in the crowd, but congratulations to him. We need to play better defense. I like the way he handled that. He could have gone a different way with that.
Absolutely. But I want to go deeper into the box score because we're going to talk more about the Nuggets as the season progresses. And the Boston Celtics are my favorite to win the Eastern Conference, just slightly ahead of the Toronto Raptors. I can't wait to see those two teams play in the conference finals. It's really a coin flip. They're both playing so well. But I want to talk again about the Boston Celtics, and I want to make sure I put something on wax. I've alluded to this already.
And we're putting it on wax.
They have, in my opinion, one of the best general managers and head coaching combinations in the game in Danny Ainge and Brad Stevens. They have a multitude of assets not only on their roster, but they could get up to 3 first-round draft picks this year.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to look deep and hard at their roster and figure out if they want to keep the dynamic Kyrie Irving a part of this team going forward.
What?
Yeah.
Here's what I mean. Styles make fights. And if I'm building a squad, there isn't 12 people in the NBA that I would build around over Kyrie Irving. I think he's that good. I saw him shoot down the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals on the right wing. I saw he and LeBron James score 40-plus points. I've seen the 50 points versus the San Antonio Spurs. Like, this guy is an amazing scorer who has the best handles in the entire game, okay? But the Boston Celtics are a team that predicates itself off ball movement and player movement. And when he's at his best, it's 31 points, a handful of assists. It's not 12 or 15 assists type of primary ball handler. So when he's out there performing and doing his thing, and Gordon Hayward, who wasn't a part of the team last year because he was injured, has now returned and he's not playing well. So you put both of these guys back on the team. What ends up happening? You suppress the productivity of certain players. In particular, Tatum, Brown, Rozier, who made a name for himself, and Smart. So what they're going to have to decide is, are we going to give Kyrie a maximum contract and continue to play toward the style of an amazing one-on-one player that's limited defensively, or are they going to play like they did last year when he and Hayward were out of the lineup and still use those assets to continue to build on this great championship contending team?
Jalen, there's something about this that you haven't mentioned, you just alluded to, is that decision becomes a lot easier if Gordon Hayward is Gordon Hayward. He had 8 points last night. 8 points. Like, he is not healthy. This injury was obviously more severe than we all expected. Remember last year we were talking about maybe him coming back last year during the regular season? Now it's the next season. It's over a full calendar year later, and he's obviously still mentally and or physically kind of hobbled by it until Gordon Hayward becomes what they expected Gordon Hayward to be when they got him there. They have to have Kyrie's 31 points on that team because he put up 8 points last night.
Correct, but that's my point. That's the distinction. It's only 48 minutes in the game. You bring both of those guys back. One of those guys has been terrific in isolation situations, getting his buckets and playing well in Kyrie Irving. Gordon Hayward, he's struggling, but they're both starting. So now that clearly takes minutes and opportunities away from somebody else. This is a fascinating first world problem for the Boston Celtics.
It really is. It really is. Jalen Rose, I'm going to move on to some news that matters. Jalen, the executives at ESPN has given us this platform. I mean, an hour every day in the afternoon on ESPN2. And along that comes great responsibility. I feel like it's our responsibility to bring to the forefront some news and some topics that aren't being discussed in mainstream media, one of which is this. There's a rock, a space rock, an interstellar rock that's headed our direction. It's called Oumuamua, I believe. Oumuamua, I'm going to call it. Oumuamua is headed our way, and scientists have been tracking it. And Jalen, it doesn't move like a normal asteroid does. It's been making turns. It's been making flips. It's been doing things that make it seem like it's being controlled like a spacecraft. What? Huh. And let's look at this quote by the theoretical physicist Avi Loeb, who's been tracking it. Oumuamua could be an active piece of alien technology that came to explore our solar system. What? Jalen Rose. There is a probe, an interstellar probe, headed our direction to explore our solar system, potentially looking for life. And here we are talking about Pete Davidson and Ariana Grande breaking up. What can we do to make people understand that we are being probed by aliens? Because that's a fact.
Well, there's nothing I can do to make people think that we're being probed by aliens because I don't believe in them. Nope. Now, you do, so you probably should take this opportunity to do so. When I think of asteroids, I think of the video games I played growing up, like Stargate and Defender, where I could put one quarter in, put a hole in it, put a little string on the end, and before you know it, I'm playing with the same quarter at the video game spot all day. That's all I know about asteroids.
Wake up, Jalen Rose.
You playing Galaga.
Wake up, man. We're not alone.
I'm not rolling.
How do you know I'm not an alien?
I'm not rolling.
So when I do this show, I sit across the table from a gentleman named Jalen Rose. Jalen Rose has the perfect hairline. And sometimes Jalen Rose is in Los Angeles doing Countdown or whatever, so I stare at him next to me in a split screen for an hour and a half every day. And the difference in our hairline, it's pretty evident. It's pretty clear. Like when I go to the barber, even though I'm not loyal to a barber, they always ask me at the end, they're like, do you want me to line up your hair? And I just say no because I've seen them try before. It doesn't work. I'm creeping in the corners. You know that 66% of men lose their hair by age 35? And then once you start to notice that you're losing your hair, it's already too late. When that hairline is slowly creeping backwards like mine, you have to do something, and that something is this. Go to 4hims.com. It's a one-stop shop for hair loss, skin care, and sexual wellness for men. When you go to 4hims.com, what they do is they connect you with real doctors with medical-grade solutions to treat hair loss. You don't have to go to the waiting room. You don't have to have an awkward doctor visit. They hit you with real doctors and real medical-grade solutions so easily. Just answer a few quick questions, a doctor reviews, and they can prescribe you exactly what you need to stop that hairline from creeping. The sooner you start acting on it, the sooner your hair will start looking like it used to. That's what you want. So right now, our listeners get a trial month of 4Hims for just $5 today, right now, while supplies last. Go to the website for the full details. It would cost hundreds if you went to a doctor or a pharmacy. You can get all of that for just $5. Go to 4hims.com/J&J. That's 4hims, FORHIMS.com/JANDJ. Right now, before it's too late, go to 4hims.com/JANDJ. Stop creeping in the corners. The Raptors have cemented their spot around the top of the Eastern Conference, and they've won 2 games in a row without Kawhi Leonard. Last night, it was the Jazz they were up against, and they did their thing. Serge Ibaka, 8 for 8 again. I don't know why you go 8 for 8, but you only get to play 14 minutes. But that's not my decision. The Raptors have looked great with and without Kawhi. Jalen, what is different with the Raptors this year under Nurse than they were last year under Dwayne Casey?
They're playing team basketball, and they did a real good job of building out some depth. You see players like Siakam. You see players like Van Vliet playing quality minutes as well. You mentioned Serge Ibaka, who's been a terror not only at the Lakers but also at Utah. But I also want to give a lot of credit to Kyle Lowry, who, when I was talking about Kyrie Irving earlier in the show, Lowry used to be one of those 5-assist type primary primary ball handler type of guys. Now all of a sudden he's had double-figure assists in 9 straight games, which is a career high. So I appreciate the evolution of his game, which has now unlocked the floor for the entire team to be able to be productive. And usually when your best player is out, it gives guys on the roster a chance to show their worth. And they've done a terrific job getting off to an amazing 10-1 start so far.
10-1 start for the Raptors has been very impressive. And now we're going to talk about two teams that have kind of turned their tides. At one point, the Thunder were 0-4 and the Pelicans were 4-0. Well, guess what? Now they've completely flipped. The Thunder have won 5 games in a row, while the Pelicans quietly have lost 6 games in a row. Russell Westbrook went down last night. The Thunder still won the ball game. Jalen Rose, there's a lot to break down here, but I want to start with, what have the Thunder done to get right?
I want to give props to Billy Donovan, because every time something goes wrong with their situation, for some strange reason, he gets the blame. And I'm not going to act like that he's the best coach in the league, but I am one of the people that actually feels he's done a really good job with that team. And they've had to remake the roster time and time again. We know about KD leaving, but if you're able to get Russell Westbrook to re-sign, if you're able to get Paul George to re-sign, that says something about the guy that's standing on the sideline. Unlike what we're saying in Los Angeles, where Magic Johnson didn't hire Luke. LeBron James and Luke probably only going to be together 1 year with that current dynamic. So I want to give Donovan credit, because Russell went down and Paul George didn't have a terrific game, but yet they still found a way to beat a Pelicans team led by Anthony Davis and Julius Randle, who's been balling this year. Big shout to him. He was 10 for 10 from the floor for the Pelicans.
So, Jalen Rose, you know I'm a die-easy Knicks fan, right? So I've been paying attention to the Knicks this year, and there's something that is just so wrong that's happening with this franchise. They're doing something that's so bad that it must be James Dolan who's been making this call, because my man Enes Kanter has not been starting. And not only that, he played a lot last night, but there are some games in which he has limited minutes. They have Tim Hardaway Jr. and Enes Kanter and then a bunch of other people that can score, but someone else needs to score for them. Enes Kanter last night had 23 points, 24 rebounds in a double overtime loss against the Bulls. Jalen, why isn't Enes Kanter getting the respect he deserves in New York?
You initially want to feature him against second-line matchups so that now he can get himself going offensively. He's always been an animal on the boards. These are the type of numbers, if you watch this show, I told you that he would A, be moved for Melo, B, when he got to the East, he will be putting up these kind of numbers. Like, rebounds just fall into this guy's hand. He has
they need to
great
play him
court
more.
awareness. He's not a really good defensive player, but again, he's earning his minutes and he's doing a great job when he gets the opportunity. It's all about finishing the
great
game,
hands,
not necessarily
great
starting
finisher.
it.
More Enes Kanter, Knicks, more Enes Kanter. Winning games is going to be better for you in the long run than developing Mitchell Robinson. Time for statue news. Jalen, Liverpool soccer star Mo Salah has been a breakout star in the past few years. This is what Mo looks like, and this is what Mo's statue looks like. Jalen, what is that? Like, what is that? It looks like a hobbit inside of a jar made from water? Look, why make his head so big and his body so small?
I know I'm showing my age here, but that looks like a chia pet. That's exactly what that looks like.
That looks like a cheap chia pet, like a chia pet knockoff. Yeah, and why he's doing it, and he's doing that? Like, it's just, come on now. You know, Mo saw that and was like, thanks. It's time for soft move or boss move.
Is it a soft move or a boss move for me to put on my Cardis during this segment? Please continue.
Soft move, but we'll let it happen.
It's a boss move. Please continue.
A gentleman in Kentucky by the name of Michael Wells Rohde was just enjoying some adult beverages while he was at the horse track. And what he did next was a little unorthodox. He found his way into the horse stable, mounted one of the horses, and then made his way to the track where he tried to race the horse. Getting hammered, getting on top of a horse, trying to join a race. Soft move or boss move?
This is a soft move all the way around because it starts by getting drunk. So once that happened, the decision-making of that individual isn't necessarily what it should be. So for you to straddle one and then you try to ride it, and before you know it, you fall off that horse, you could get injured, you can injure the horse. There's so many things that can go bad. I say that this is a soft move.
Yeah, I'm much more concerned about the horse in this scenario. Like, if you get hammered to do something dumb and you hurt yourself, that's fine, but don't go around hurting horses. The soft move, you took off your glasses. Commit to it.
I saw the reflection of the light in them.
I know, I saw it too. Moving on. This is from our people. We always say we give the people what they want, so we asked our followers on Twitter, at Jalen and Jacoby, some soft move or boss move questions. Boss move or soft move, experimentally taking your wedding ring off just to see if single people will approach you. Huh. What? I'm going to take this one, Jalen Rose, because I've been married for years and years. Anytime that you are taking your wedding ring off not to wash your hands or to play basketball or do something functional is a soft move. You got married. Act like you're married. We all know those guys in your friend circle that when you go to Vegas, they don't wear their wedding ring. You go out to dinner, they don't wear their wedding ring. Those people aren't really married, they're fake married. If you are married, if you take vows, you keep your wedding ring on, you're married. Don't do it experimentally like my man Dominic suggested. Dominic definitely has done this before too.
This is definitely a soft move because being married is a covenant under the man above. And those vows are really strong if you ever listen to the words. And also, taking off your ring doesn't make you any less married.
Married.
It
Good
makes
point.
you fraudulent because you're trying to run game. You're better off if you're wearing your wedding ring and you're trying to do you to behave as such, because now people know what they're getting into versus you trying to take it off. And then when you go back to try to explain you're married, then it comes off like you're a phony. All bad.
Also, Dominic, you can tell Dominic's been married for a while when he asked this question because people don't approach people anymore. They're all on dating apps, dog. It's 2018. Yep. Moving on. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail. Please do so. 985-80-JALEN, and we'll play it on the show just like this one.
Riding a bicycle with no shoes. Soft move or boss move? What up, though? Peace, love, and chicken grease.
Jalen, you know I ride a lot of bicycle, right? I'm riding my bike all over the city, all over the place. And when I first heard this question, I thought it was a boss move. You must be in a beach environment. You're riding a big beach bike with the long handlebars at Venice Beach or something. But then, as we discussed this amongst the production staff, we realized, what if you have to go to the bathroom? What if you have to go to a restaurant? What if you have to go get some gum? What if you have to do anything? Soft move. Keep some shoes on.
This is definitely a soft move. And this is another subject for another day, but I think this is cultural. People driving and somebody else sitting in the passenger side that has their feet out of the window. But back to this. This is definitely a soft move. Here's why. It hurts your feet.
Yeah.
The pedals hurt your feet.
Hurts your feet.
And what if you have to do an emergency stop and you don't have on shoes? You have to put your feet down on the concrete.
I also want to say this.
Like, come on, man. Soft move.
Whenever I have seen bare feet out of the window of a vehicle, they've looked like mine and not yours. Moving on. This is from Nate. Soft move or boss move? Constantly using fouls as a method of defense to stop the other team from scoring. Now, this is interesting. This is something that Jeff Van Gundy has taken up as a little pet peeve of his that I completely agree with. This is making the game less fun to watch. I know we have a clear path foul, but they need to make adjustments to the clear path foul, where if you are intentionally fouling someone to stop a 2-on-1 break or a 1-on-1 break, that should be illegal. I don't have to write the rule right now. There's other people that do that. There's a whole competition committee. Don't you feel like this rule needs to be changed in the NBA and everywhere in basketball?
In pickup basketball, this is a soft move. Oh my goodness. Like, I'm upset. Like,
I've done it before.
I'm really disappointed in this.
Oh, I've done it before in pickup.
Like a couple of types of people come to mind that should be arrested immediately.
I've done this before in pickup.
Those that get on an airplane and put their bags in first class and go to coach. Those same people who try to use the first class bathroom should be arrested immediately.
Jalen, just stop it. You're so tone deaf sometimes. You're complaining about people that fly coach. Do you realize that the plane is 95% people that fly coach?
Correct, and sometimes I'm in it as well. But when I'm back there, I don't put my bags in first class. Now,
yeah, right.
What
When's
I'm
the last
saying,
time you flew coach?
I find Coach a lot because I book last-minute travel. I find Coach a lot more than you think, actually. But with that being said, in pickup basketball, we all know that you're calling your own fouls, okay? So you have to get a level of who's playing weak out there and who's playing through contact. Sometimes people play and ones and pick up ball. I don't necessarily love and ones and pick up basketball. And so from this should be somebody that gets banned immediately from playing at that gym.
I've done it many times. It's a great play. I support winning. I wouldn't do it if we were losing or winning by a lot, but in a close game, I'll definitely do that. Moving on very quickly, we have one more tweet. This one is from Fahad. Eating pizza with a knife and fork, soft move or boss move? That's a soft move. I mean, we all know that's a soft move.
That's definitely a soft move. I think this is the first program where each of the items I consider a soft move. Shout to my brother Mike Greenberg, who does this. He actually does this.
Look,
he eats sandwiches like this. He eats
very clean.
pizza like this because he don't want to get it on his hands.
He's very clean. If you want to discuss the topic, you say hit the brakes. If you don't, me, you, and Method Man jump in the minivan and just keep it moving. Are you ready, Mr. Rose?
We're not going to talk about the Buffalo Bills quarterback situation. We're not going to talk more about Jason Garrett and the Cowboys.
No.
We're not going to force those topics?
Nope.
Great.
Jalen
Let's
Rose.
get it.
Markelle Fultz's shooting coach tweeted and then deleted, hinting that Fultz is still not healthy. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
This saga is going to continue to plague this young man who's the number 1 overall pick when he has to look at the productivity of Jason Tatum all of the time. Got to keep it moving. We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
The Rockets have quietly won 3 straight NBA basketball games. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
James Harden is back. Hit the brakes.
Last night, James Harden had 28 points. Didn't shoot great, but they got a win over the Pacers, who have been hot lately. They've now won 3 in a row. I believe all 3 were on the road. Have the Rockets kind of righted the ship a little bit here?
I think so. When they're healthy, I mean, look at the level of talent that they have. James Harden is only the reigning MVP. He'll end up being in top 5 in assists and in points. Chris Paul is going to always play at an all-NBA caliber level. They re-signed Clint Capella. He seems to be finding his game. Tucker's going to give him toughness and the ability to knock down an open shot. So when they're healthy, I'm not surprised. Shout to Jeff Bisdelic, who was dealing with some family issues, who is now going to return to the Houston Rockets. And the reason why I made sure that I gave him an acknowledgement, because this time last year, most people didn't even know who that was as it related to the Houston Rockets.
He was the key.
But he was a key cog in their defensive prowess that clearly has been lacking. So therefore, without him, his stock went up. Now we're saying they will bring back their defensive guru, a word that has never been used on this network to describe Jeff Bisdelic until right now.
I mean, Jeff Bisdelic, the biggest difference between the Rockets 2 years ago and the Rockets last year was their defense. Their defense came together, and a lot of people don't understand that NBA teams, kind of like NFL teams, have defensive coordinators, and that's basically what he was, and their defense is cratered. He knew his phone was going to ring. He knew that phone was going to ring after watching the first few games, and I think the Rockets will be very happy to have him back. We're going to move on, though. A Super Bowl contender could be adding a new weapon as soon as this week. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Jalen Rose, the Saints are working out some wide receivers. No big deal, looking to bolster the receiving core. One of those receivers, though, is Dez Bryant. Could we see Dez Bryant with the NFL shield on his uniform this season?
Head coach Sean Payton has Texas ties. Dez Bryant clearly would love for an opportunity to present himself in the NFL. What better way to do it than leaving the Cowboys, who are not going to the playoffs, to join the Saints, who are as hot as it gets as it relates to NFL teams. A clear-cut team along with the Rams distinguishing themselves in the NFC. If he could join that squad, that'd be a really good look for him. And the NFC continues to get stronger. Falcons, Carolina Panthers are coming. The Vikings are still out there. So it's going to be great theater.
Next, Reebok wants to party with Cardi. They've announced an endorsement deal with Cardi B. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
I'm not mad at Cardi, but keep it moving. I want to see the productivity
moving. You know, we
of
keep
the
it
gear.
moving up.
The drama continues. We have an update between Jimmy Butler and the Timberwolves. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Got to hit the brakes on this.
So the Timberwolves coming off a loss, and the question was asked, hey, are you going to play in Wednesday's game against the Lakers? And he basically said, I haven't decided yet. Jalen Rose, what do you think of what seemingly is Jimmy Butler picking and choosing what games he plays in?
Well, it goes back to the theory of so many people talking about this situation, and by his style of play and his productivity and being one of the better two-way players in the game, people felt that Jimmy Butler, when he joined Minnesota, that he would be all in to play in each game until he got traded. Now there's clearly been a detour from that level of thinking. This is not good for the game. You know, I'm somebody that's talked about not being a fan of healthy players resting anyway during the regular season, especially if they don't have things locked up late in the year, versus a situation like this where he's just flat out unsure if he's going to play based on the fact that he's unhappy with his situation. I hope Adam Silver figures a way to find himself in the middle of this scenario, because it's not a good look for the league. And this is a nationally televised game. We much rather have on ESPN Jimmy Butler and the Minnesota Timberwolves playing against LeBron James and the Lakers than questioning whether Jimmy Butler is going to even play if he's healthy. It's not good for business, and it's not good for the partners, clearly.
Can we just get him to the Rockets or the Heat already? Like, that's where he's going to end up. He's going to end up in either the Rockets or the Heat. So can we just get him there already? Like, Daryl Morey, get back on the phone. I mean, you already put together 4 number 1 picks for this guy. Like, what else do you have to do? Throw in Eric Gordon. Do whatever you have to do. The Rockets need Jimmy Butler. We need a team that could maybe compete with the Warriors in the Western Conference. There isn't one right now. This makes sense for everybody. Please, Mr. Silver, intervene. Do whatever kind of tampering you need to do to make this happen. I want to see Jimmy Butler on the Rockets. Thank you, Adam Silver. I know you watch this program every single night. Moving on. The Cleveland Cavaliers have a head coach. Looks like they made a deal with Larry Drew. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
They should have been did this when they decided to fire their old coach. Keep it moving. We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
Allen Iverson is not a fan of something that's happening in today's NBA. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Wow, hit the brakes.
We always listen when Allen Iverson speaks. He loves his little guys. He said about NBA fashion, quote, "This is Halloween every night. It's the 31st of October every night." Allen Iverson is upset about the way NBA players are dressing. Is he sound like an old head that's out of touch, that's hating, or does he have a point?
No, Allen Iverson has been at the forefront of style, being a tastemaker. I appreciate people like this in the industry who have had styles that people copied, like the cornrows and things of that nature of a guy that was playing at an MVP level. I could not imagine Allen Iverson scooting up and down a bed to try to put on some tight pants. I just can't imagine him doing that. I can't imagine Allen Iverson showing up at a game and I'm seeing his ankles and Achilles. I
don't see Allen Iverson some skin-tight capri pants with some like designer silk headwear on, wearing like a mismatched vest with his nipples out. Like, I just don't see Allen Iverson doing that. I just don't see it. I can't imagine it. I can't imagine it.
We keep it moving.
I like the new intro, Jalen. Just play it again, Reg. Let me hear that part one more time.
So cold. So cold.
Just that part, Reg.
Worry about my posse getting jumped. Cause if we ever do, yo, TB, pop the trunk. Cause we make a pop the trunk and hit the switch.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk.
I like it. I like it. Now, the results are good, but it's also about process. Because I remember someone yesterday that was in their feelings. I'm not going to name any names. That was very upset, that feeling like they were getting conspired against behind their back because I sent Reggie a Kendrick line to put in the intro, and then I show up today, and of course I'm here and you're not, and Reggie tells me a story that you're coming up to the studio and you're saying, do this, do that, do this. Now, I'm just saying, I like the new intro. That's going to be the intro until it's not the intro, but I could have been consulted. I could have been, because you were complaining about not being consulted yesterday. Were you, and were you not?
See, here's the difference.
Okay.
There's certain things about this program that you're more passionate about than I am and vice versa. That's why we're an amazing team.
Yeah. I'm passionate about the topics, like what we're going to say.
Correct.
You know, the B-roll and the graphics and the full screens.
Yeah.
Like the actual things that matter for the television
yes.
show. Okay.
And I care more about, like, being original tastemakers, like, respectfully. And I'm not going to call out any shows because
don't do it. Don't like me do this.
I respect my colleagues. And I'm not going to act like we're the first people that put pictures on the wall in a room for a man cave. I will not act like that. However, I will say this. When we started this program 8 years ago, the immortals that we have hanging on the wall, they were not being duplicated for national media consumption. Now I'm seeing a lot of shows that have got a little Mr. Me Too in them and biting bits and pieces off of Jalen and Jacoby. So that's why it's important that our intro continues to be something that they can't bite. Like, I hear people saying pop the trunk, but they don't know where they got it from. I hear people saying on and off wax. Nope. They don't credit us, but they know where they got it from. So, like, we continue to push the envelope, and I appreciate that.
Me too. I'm excited for today's show, Mr. Rose.
Me too, my brother.
There's so much to discuss. You know, but we got to keep the podcast exclusive going. You know, because some things we can't discuss on television. Here's one that we can't discuss for television. There's a big report about Under Armour. And what's happening is if you weren't running your company with diversity in mind and gender inclusion in mind, you're starting to get exposed. And that's kind of recently what happened to Under Armour. There's a lot of reports from people that used to work there, currently work there, that Kevin Plank, the CEO, was kind of hiring his friends, and they had a culture that was, I don't know, maybe not the most friendly to women. And one of the things that they had to send out a memo to their employees ending the, quote, long-standing practice of expensing trips to strip clubs. Jalen Rose, I was not a professional athlete. You were a professional athlete. When you were being wooed by sneaker companies or wooed by agents or wooed by someone who wanted to do business with you, would they take you to adult establishments and expense them?
Just like people do deals on the golf course, they do deals at the strip club.
Okay.
Let's not act like this is a new phenomenon. Wherever you live in the United States of America, there's as many, if not more, adult entertainment establishments and places to buy sex toys than there are colleges.
But I would never, ever, 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 ever expense a trip to the strip club. Like, I'm saying, in your industry, when you were an NBA player, were these type of things happening? Was this a practice that was normal?
Well, here's what I understand to do. When you're on company time and dime, you behave accordingly. And here's how you can really know the distinction in your personal life. If your job bought your plane ticket or your hotel room or your rent-a-car, then you got to behave as such.
That's a great life lesson from Jalen Rose. He's reminded me many times about who bought the plane ticket to the city that we were in.
No question about it. Now, if you buy it, then you're an adult. You can do whatever you would like to do on your free time.
Within reason.
Within reason. But I got to say something right now that's going to make a lot of people upset at me in corporate America.
And we putting it on wax.
If I ran a business like that had multiple employees that were able to expense things, I would not allow my employees to expense alcohol at all.
I like that. I like that.
So if you're allowed to expense alcohol, it's no different than expensing a strip club. They're the exact same thing.
I wouldn't say the exact same thing, but I understand what you're saying. Like, if y'all are really talking business, perhaps you shouldn't be drinking alcohol at the same time. Nope. That's one of my things. Like, whenever I'm hanging out and it's past 10:30 at night and people want to talk to me about some show they want to pitch or some documentary they want to do, something they want me to do, I always say the same thing. I was like, I'm happy to discuss this with you, but let's discuss this during business hours. You know, like let's do business during business hours. Because over the course of my almost 2 decades at ESPN, I've seen a lot of shows get greenlit past 12 at night. You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of shows get greenlit. We're like, how did we end up with a show about this? Huh? And it's like, oh, I remember. That was at the ESPYs after party. I remember that exactly.
Hold on. Hit the brakes. Whoa! said 3 important things on this program. One,
I didn't greenlight your show at the ESPYs.
One, make sure that when you're on company time and dime, you behave accordingly. Hotel room, plane ticket, rent-a-car. Number 2, if you can expense alcohol, you should be able to expense at the strip club. Number 3, you're being hypocritical because this show did get greenlit after 12 at night in L.A. during ESPYs week almost 8 years ago.
Hit the brakes again. Hit them like 4 times. What did I tell you after you approached me and Bill at the ESPYs after party?
You was like, we can make it happen. Make sure you reach out to us on Monday.
Exactly. Let's talk about this during business hours. Exactly what I said. So we're both right.
But we were already, hold on. But we were already talking about it.
Yeah, we were talking about it, but I said the ability to shut it down. Basically what I did is I pushed the conversation to during business hours. That's my advice to the people. If you're having a business conversation, you can talk about the big details, but push the conversation to business hours. That's all. And don't talk money. Never talk compensation.
And also,
when you're drunk.
If you saw Jalen Jacoby at 10:30 at night, that's almost like a sighting of Bigfoot. This must have been years ago.
Anymore. Oh, that was 8 years ago. That was a different David Jacoby.
Hey, this was years ago.
I didn't have any kids. I used to get home past midnight. I do want to say something, Jalen Rose. I have some bad news. I have some good news and some bad news. What? I'll start with the good news. The good news, they have a black person as the sexiest man alive. The bad news, still not you, Jalen Rose. Still not you. Still not you.
I know.
When's it going to be your year? You getting sexier every year, though. They probably saw you didn't have a haircut today. That's probably what it was.
I appreciate you, family. Shout to Idris Alba, who got that nod.
Shout out.
I need to do a better job of putting myself in position to get nominated for stuff like that. Like when you talk about like fashion and flyness.
I told you I reached out to my plug. I reached out to my plug at GQ. I reached out to my plug at GQ and I said, Jalen, if you provide me with some pictures or some photos or some sort of profile, I will write a strongly worded email on your behalf. And I'm still waiting for those pictures to come.
Yeah, that sounds like work.
Jalen, we got a Too Hot for TV soft mover boss move.
Oh, great. Let's get it.
Too hot for TV.
I don't have the person's name that sent this in, so shout to them. I apologize. It says, quote, soft mover boss move, getting the snip but shooting up the club without doing the follow-up tests. If you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave a voicemail. Ladies!
Hey, ladies!
Today is Wednesday. Tomorrow is Woman Crush Wednesday. Make sure you call 985-80-JALEN and leave us voicemails. We do exclusively female voicemails every single Wednesday. So, ladies, be part of the show. Leave us a female voicemail. Right now, we're taking all callers like this one.
What up, though? What up, Jalen? What up, Jacoby? It's your boy, the man caller. And his call is for Mr. Reggie Hooks. Reggie, step to the front, please. This is about the 5th caller that you put on the show that to mention the man caller. So you must want me to call, here I go. Now, Bad Moon Brian, shout out to you, but you got a good point, yo. Reggie, you don't be listening to all the voicemails. There's no way you listen to 100% of the voicemails. You probably listen to like 39%, maybe even 81%. Shout out, Jalen. But you don't listen to all the voicemails. Because you know how I know? I just called last week and you ain't put me on. So you don't listen to the voicemails. Why you lying? Why you lying, Reg? Now, take Kanye out, the intro. I'm with it. Go to UGK. Go to the album called Dirty Money. Look up the song called Look at Me. Rest in peace, Pimp C. He say pop the trunk and hit the switch. I'll let your boy won yourself. I'm out.
So, Jalen.
What up, dog?
First of all, there's some very high, powerful executives in the control room right now. I'm so glad they got to hear the mad caller. I have a question. If Reggie did listen to 100% of the voicemails, as he claims he does, do you think he would leave a mad caller voicemail on the cutting room floor?
Nope.
I don't think he would. So now we're calling the mad caller a liar or Reggie a liar. One of the two of them is a liar. I don't know. The mad callers, he sounded pretty convinced that he called last week.
So a couple of things.
Crazy.
I want to make sure on this program, even if it's once a month, we got to give Reggie a microphone to defend himself.
No. See, now here's another thing that happened that I don't know if you know about. So there's been some emails going around about that.
What?
And Reggie's like, oh, yeah, we'll be outfitted with Mike soon. And then also, JC came into the studio, and we turned up this knob, that normally turns up the TV volume in here, and I could hear Reggie in the studio like voice of God. Like, Reggie's been really working behind the scenes to really put himself in the show. I don't know how I feel about this.
I support it because he's a third voice and personality on the show, but he don't get a chance to defend himself in situations like this.
I like that. I don't want Reggie defending himself. Here's what happens. Listen, I did this. I was a producer that then turned talent, and once you turn talent, you stop producing. You know what I mean? What, you think he doesn't listen to the voicemails now? Wait till this dude gets a microphone. Wait till he gets his followers up. Wait until he's working on the rundown too, to do a research about how many points Gordon Hayward had last night.
So a couple of things.
I know how this is going to go.
I love the Mad Caller and all of the people who are co-producers on this show. I would encourage you guys to continue to call in and be personalities of this fine program. But let me address one of the things he said. We did update the intro. The Mad Caller will be happy. We did put Pimp C, rest in peace, a part of it to go with the Beat Nuts, as well as MC Breed and Reggie Noble. Our intro is fat. And so, you know what, ride or die? I'm going to go with Reg on this one. The Mad Caller called the wrong number.
You think the Mad Caller, he left a voicemail for Right Time and Pamani Jones? He left a
mad.
voicemail for a different podcast?
You know when you're mad, you don't think straight.
Mina Kime show?
Yeah,
he was mad.
He left it for you on the Katie Nolan show. That's what happened.
Crazy. Deranged.
Let us know, Mad Caller.
Big shout out to the Mad Caller. If it was up to me, we'd have a voicemail from you once a week. But Reggie doesn't listen to all the voicemails, I promise. That's a lie. Let's see if Reggie has another voicemail or not. You gotta go listen to one first.
Hey, what's going on? Jalen and Jacoby, man. This is Jesse out of New Jersey with the 973. What's up, Reg? Hey, y'all gotta help me out with a public service announcement. It's a nice summer day. I got my windows down. I pull up to a stoplight. And all of a sudden, out of my left eye, I see some feet in the windshield next to me. Not only in the windshield next to me, but dag near out the car by the rearview mirror. Practically in my car. So here's what I need to know. Is it cultural? Is it regional? I mean, I don't even think it's safe. Because if they get hit in the rear, she gonna get folded like a briefcase. So, I don't know. But, can y'all speak on this? Because I'm tired of seeing other people's feet out in the windshield. Keep getting them checks. Get the people what they want. Holla at y'all.
Okay. Couple things about this. Oddly, we covered this earlier during the television program because those are the important topics that we covered during the television program. So we're just in tune with our people. We say we give the people what they want. We already knew this question was coming. This question is definitely cultural, okay? I've seen a lot of feet outside on the windows, bare feet at that, and they always look like mine. But as someone who has done this before, I'm a little too long-legged for it. Sometimes I got to put my feet on top of the rearview mirror on the side. But I do want to say this. I got sweaty feet. Sometimes I want to let the dogs breathe, and don't knock it till you've tried it. If you've ever put your feet outside of the window while the car is just cruising at a light rate, it feels good. The wind between your toes, just all of that skin that doesn't normally get to see the light of day, just basking in the sun, getting the vitamin D, getting the breeze, getting like air freshener on it. It feels good. Feels good.
I used to think this was regional, just traveling around the country a lot. And then I realized it's flat out cultural. And for as many times as you've stuck your feet out of the windows because you have sweaty dogs and long feet, you got to let them breathe. And maybe we should try it sometime.
Yeah, you should.
Guess how many times I've done it?
Zero. Live a little, Jalen. Live a little bit.
Not going to be able to do it.
Live.
Not going to be able to do it.
I want to thank Jess for calling. I want to thank the Mad Caller. I want to thank Jalen Rose and Reggie Hooks for conspiring against me and changing the intro. I like the results. We'll play that intro tomorrow, but continue to send some suggestions. Thank the staff in New York and L.A., and, of course, the executives in Bristol for making this happen.
No doubt.
We'll be back tomorrow. Why is that, KRS?
Done. We're not done. We're not done. Got to give the people time. Give people what they want.
They my little guys. I love them.
Speaking of the Hobbits, let's talk about LeBron James.
Look at my nose.
I think smoking always affected my daily life because I was a closet smoker. It really sort of controlled my entire day. My boss is the one that recommended Juul, so I decided to give it a try. You don't get any of the odor of smoking. There's no ash all over your car. I would say give it a try.
Get the flavor and satisfaction of smoking without the mess of cigarette ash or lingering odor. Switch to Juul. Check out JUUL.com/sports. If you don't smoke or vape, don't start.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.